Hello, Algebra. Today is day 1 for factoring, Unit 9 factoring. So the first couple of days, we're actually going to do a bunch of skills that we need before we start factoring. I'll just kind of point out a few things on this front page. The types of factoring we will do are GCF, greatest common factor. We will factor by grouping. We will do trinomial factoring and difference between two perfect squares. But before we get to actually doing these factoring methods, like I said, we're going to practice some skills that are going to make these a lot easier. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to go to the next page. Here we go. Okay, I want you to practice multiplying. So right up at the top here, we are going to multiply these three things out. And once we have them multiplied out, we will have a trinomial. Now, you should probably remember that a trinomial means we have three terms. One term, two term, three terms, okay? We could end up with a binomial. And once we do that, we're going to state what's A, what's B, and what's C. A is going to be the coefficient that's in front of the x squared term. B is going to be the coefficient in front of the x term. And C is the constant, the number that's all by itself, okay? I'll do the first one with you, and then I'll have you pause and try the next two on your own. So by this point in the year, we should be looking at a binomial times a binomial, and we should be thinking, you know what? I'm going to use the box to multiply that out. So we get it set up. In the first spot here, we have a 2x squared. Remember, we multiply the coefficients. So that's 2 times 1, 2 in front. We add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. In the next one over, I'm going to have a negative 12x. Okay, going to the bottom row, I'm going to have a positive 3x. And the last spot is going to be a negative 18. If we have like terms, they will be on a diagonal. So when we get it all together, our final answer here is 2x squared. Let me change my pen color. 2x squared. We're going to do negative 12 and positive 3. That's going to give us a negative 9x and then minus 18. Now, I want to state what's A, what's B, and what's C. So here we go. A is 2. That's the number in front of the x squared term. B, you might be thinking B is 9, but B is actually negative 9. Okay, that sign has to come with it. And C is negative 18, the number all by itself, the constant. Okay, I want you to pause the video and get 2 and 3 multiplied out. 2 we don't need a box for. You could do a one-story box if you want. But when we just have a monomial, sometimes it's easier just to distribute. 3, I definitely would want to see a box there. Go ahead and pause the video and do those 2, and then we'll check our answers. Okay, hopefully you have the same answers. In number 2, when I distributed 3x times 4x, I got 12x squared. 3x times 7 was 21x. So let's talk about what's A, what's B, what's C. You can see I only have a binomial. But I can still state what A and B are, and C actually. A is going to be the coefficient on the x squared term. Notice I'm just writing the number 12. I'm not writing 12x squared because A is just the number in front. B is going to be the coefficient on the x term. And if there's no number added, like in the last one we had a minus 18, then C is just 0. Okay? In the next one, these middle terms were opposites, so when we combine like terms, they go away. In this case, A is 1, okay? I have an x squared. It's not like it's not there. I have an x squared, so my number in front is 1 if I don't see any other number there. My B is 0 because there is no x term. It went away. My C is negative 25. Okay. Moving on, we'll practice more about finding A, B, and C on the next page. 4, the dimensions of a rectangle are represented by 5a and 2a minus 1. Find the area. Okay, area being a key word. Here's a formula you should know. area of a rectangle is length times width. I feel pretty good that people know that from previous math courses. So 5a squared. I am going to use a little box for this one just to show you how we could use a box, even though I have a monomial. Here we go. This is what I mean by a one-story box, okay? 5 times 2 is 10, and this is going to be an a cubed when I add exponents. 5 times -1 is -5, and I have an a squared. So my area would be represented as 10a cubed minus 5a squared. That's what I get when I multiply the length and the width together. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. The area of a rectangle is represented by, okay, so this is a little different already. In the last one, they gave us the length and the width. We had to find the area. Now they're giving us the area. They're saying this is the area. The width is represented by 3x. Okay, let's think about that. If that's my area, then that's the inside. You can see above, when I was using the length and the width, I was putting the length and the width on the outside, and my area is what was on the inside. So since they gave me the area, I'm putting that on the inside. The width is represented by 3x. So since the width is only this one single monomial, I'm going to put that over here. Determine the length. So now we're working backwards. And this is not the first time we've seen this, where I give you the inside of the box and your job is to find the outside. So if there's a 3x there, what had to have been up here? An x, because x times 3x gives me 3x squared. Same logic over here. This would have had to have been a plus 2. And just kind of verifying going back, 3x times x gives me 3x squared. 3x times 2 gives me 6x. So my length is x plus 2. We just did a little working backwards to find that length. Moving on to the next page. Okay, this is going to be an important skill that we need. Once we identify A, B, and C like we talked about, I'm kind of going to do problem A at the same time as I'm talking about the top of the page. So we have to be able to identify A. Oops, that was not the right thing. We have to be able to identify A, B, and C. Okay, I kind of did that at the top, but just in case we missed it there, I'm going to be doing A at the same time as I give you the rule, okay? Oops. Okay, looking at the trinomial that I'm given, this is a quadratic because it is an x squared. A is 3, B is 10, and C is 8, based on those rules we talked about. Okay, we're going to have to fill in the x box. This is going to be one of the most important parts of factoring. Okay, and the rule is, let me scroll this down just a touch, is that once we identify A, B, and C, in the top of this little x box, we are going to multiply A and C together. And in the bottom, we're going to state what B is. Okay, this is our rule. We're going to do A times C at the top, and we're going to do B at the bottom. So let me take my example that I have down here. A is 3, C is 8. So A times C goes at the top. That's a positive 24. Sometimes I like to write the sign because the sign is important. And then we just put what B is at the bottom, a positive 10. Okay, so that's how we start. Identify A, B, and C. A times C goes at the top, B goes at the bottom. Then, this is the key. We need to find two numbers that multiply. So these numbers have to multiply to be our AC number, and they have to add to be our B number. Okay, that might sound a little confusing, but with practice, it gets easier. Okay, So I'm going to think about all my factors of 24. 24 kind of has a lot of factors. And I'm just going to start kind of listing some off. Let me kind of go to yellow just so. Okay, I'm thinking about factors of 24. Well, 1 and 24. What else? 2 and 12. What else? 3 and 8. What else? 4 and 6. Okay. So when I say factors of 24, I'm thinking 1 times 24 equals 24, 2 times 12 equals 24, 3 times 8 equals 24, 4 times 6 equals 24. That's what I mean by factors. Well, only one pair of those, when I add them, is going to give me a 10. Okay? Hopefully you see it. I see it. It's positive 4 and positive 6. That is filling in the X box, finding the two numbers that multiply to this guy and add to that guy. And there's only going to be one correct answer. Okay? It's one correct answer there. All right, let's try it again. A, 3, B, 2, C, negative 5. That negative's going to throw a little wrench in this. It's going to make it a little bit harder. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. You have to have a negative 15 there. B goes on the bottom, positive 2. I need to think of the factors of 15, okay? So 1 and 15, when it's multiplying and I need a negative, one of them is going to have to be positive and one of them is going to have to be negative. So I have 1 and negative 15, negative 1, positive 15. I have 2 doesn't go into it, 3 does, 3, negative 5. Negative 3, positive 5. Okay, those are my options. So all of those things multiply to be negative 15. But only one of those pairs is going to add to give me a positive 2. Which one is it? There's our winner. Negative 3, positive 5. And I like to always double check, okay? If I think about this in my head, I'm going, okay, negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. Yep. Negative 3 and a positive 5, when I add them together, gives me a positive 2. Yep. Okay, that's kind of just like what I go through in my head after I've decided my two numbers. I just double check to make sure they work. Okay, you guys pause the video and try C. Pause the video and try C. Okay, so here's C. Hopefully we started with A is 1, B is 1, and C is negative 56. When we multiply A and C, we get negative 56 on the top. B is 1. Now, what I don't have access to on my iPad right now, but I want to show you in class, is the thing that we did last packet where we went to y equals and we would put a number in. In this case, I wouldn't worry about the negative right now, and we would divide it by x, and then we would go to the table. In the last packet, we were only looking for perfect squares, okay? But in this packet, it's still useful, even though we're not looking for perfect squares here, we still get all the factors. So when I'm looking at this table, I can see, oh, 7 and 8 are on the list. Guess what? A positive 8 and a negative 7 will multiply together to give me negative 56. And a positive 8 and a negative 7 will add together to give me 1. So I will show this tomorrow in class, but if you're struggling with finding these numbers because you're not great at picking out factors, you can always use this little trick that we did last packet. Go to y equals, put in 56 over x. I would leave out the negative, and then look at your table, okay? And that'll give you factors. Anything that has a decimal is obviously not going to be a factor. Anything that works out to a nice whole number, that's a factor. Okay, so let's take a look at the bottom here. So now I have you kind of working backwards, I would say, or like figuring out. These are like little puzzles to figure out. So if these are the numbers that we would have come up with, what would have been the number at the top? That's my question to you. You should be thinking about that. And the number at the top would have been their product, aka those numbers multiplied together. 6 times negative 8 gives me negative 48. what would have been the number at the bottom? Their sum, -2. Okay, that was working backwards. Normally, we have the -48 and the -2, and we have to try and come up with the 6 and the -8. But here I just had you working backwards. Okay. Let's see. You guys do those two, okay, and come into class, and we will go over those two as well. The other thing I need you to do, I need you to do the front of homework 1. I'm going to pull it up now so you can see what it looks like. This is what homework 1 looks like. You can see the top is exactly what we were just doing. We've got a little review in there with 4, 5, and 6. 7 is what we were just doing. Find A, B, and C. Fill in A, C at the top. Okay, fill in B at the bottom, and then find your two numbers. 10 is review, 11 is review. Okay, so the front of homework 1, I want that done for tomorrow as well, so we can go over that. All right, everybody, have a good one. See you tomorrow. Bye.